Welcome back to The Elegant Life. I thought I'd bring you on my balcony today after sharing my beautiful morning routine. And I just got really inspired to share something with you after enjoying my morning routine fully. You've heard me talk about this story a lot, but for any of you who are new, because there are a few new subscribers, so hello everybody and welcome to The Elegant Life. I used to be a school teacher who, at the end of my career, I started getting really burnt out and really tired, and I kept pressing the snooze button about 20 times. And I used to look in magazines. In fact, there was one magazine that I'll never forget the image in my mind of being at the hairdresser and reading an Aveda magazine. Now, in this Aveda magazine, there was a page where it was promoting their candles. Now, the candles were being lit in the morning while the woman did her morning routine, and it had this page of circles. The woman was getting up and meditating with the candle. Then the woman was doing movement, kind of step aerobics. Dates me a little bit. And then she was journaling and the candle was there. And finally, she was eating a very nutritious breakfast with a big smile on her face. Of course, right? And I looked at this and it was just like this biggest desire filled me up of wanting that to be my morning routine. And yet, when you're living the current life that you are, you can't even imagine or picture you could be living something different. It never, ever seems possible until you start working on your mindset and you start learning the laws of the universe and you start clearing some of those old belief patterns and stories that you've been told. Because truly, we have desires within us. And these desires are so unique to each and every one of us. I could have someone come up to me and say, oh my God, I got the 5 new Bulgari handbags. And I would be so happy for them because I could see their joy. But it would do nothing for me. I love a beautiful handbag, but I don't need closet full of them. It doesn't do it for me. So our desires are like triggering mechanisms for this life that's coded into us to come alive, start the manifesting process. Anyway, without going into such a spiritual teaching, I was so grateful for this morning that I was experiencing, because even now, sometimes it hits me like, Erin, do you realize like that this life, this morning that you get to experience every day was at once just something you wrote about in your journal and you meditated and you tried to visualize? I still get awestruck that this has happened. I mean, what? Now, I've done a full video on the stages of manifestation, and I will link to that either here or here and in the description box below, because that's a really good manifestation video to watch. Yet I wanted to deep dive into one of the topics that I discussed in that video, because it truly is something that is manageable and that actually starts you feeling like you're living that life right now. I want to show you what I did to start living this life, because it wasn't like that. And I think a lot of people look at people who have beautiful lives and they think, oh, it must be nice for them. This life took me doing a lot of inner work, a lot of clearing and reprogramming, and what I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so you know how I've always talked about start living that dream life version of you right now to whatever capacity you can. So when I thought about that advice for myself way back when, I was like, where can I start? And I looked at simple things like, what were the pajamas I was wearing to bed? Was my vision going into her bed like that? And literally now, I can't even believe this was what I used to do. But I used to use all of my t-shirts, the holy ratty ones, and wear that to bed instead of some beautiful, very feminine and elegant ones. So what I did was I researched that very keyword, elegant feminine sleepwear. This is one piece that I have. It's from one of my favorite companies called Intimissimi. It's an Italian brand, and their stuff is so beautiful. I get all my bras and my underwear from there too, because it is such soft material against your skin. Like the lace is like butter. And I don't like any scratchy things on me. And so Intimissimi is a great one. Another one I found, some really nice, kind of more cotton ones, is from a brand called Oisho. So those two are really great. So I started to wear beautiful things to bed, and it changes your vibration immediately. It raises your vibration. It makes you feel heightened, like more elegant, more feminine, more like that vision of what I wanted for myself. So maybe this isn't how you see yourself in your vision. This isn't something that you would do. These are just ideas. Now, the next kind of thing that I used to do was to look at walking around the house. I used to just put on like a house coat. That was one that I used to dry myself out of the shower. But that didn't feel like the elegant woman in this vision, because whenever I did my Start Your Day with Elegance and Flow meditation, I realized that she was not walking around in that kind of a house coat. She had a beautiful feminine, kind of a silky, satiny robe. So I invested in a beautiful champagne colored robe. I'll put a couple of ones that I found on Amazon that could be examples if you want to order one too. Now, the other thing that I used to do was notice that I was constantly buying self-help books, always trying to improve myself. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because we are wired to want to grow and expand. And yet, there's always something to consider here. Are you reading those books with the energy of I'm not good enough, or I'm still not where I want to be? Or are you reading those excited of what it's going to teach you so that you can implement and put in your life and grow and expand? You see, it's all about your intention and your energy behind what you do. So check in with yourself. If you don't feel good enough and you're trying to fix something, change the story you're telling yourself. Even you just doing that will change your vibration. So you can tell yourself, I'm reading this self-help book because I have a vision of the next best level of myself, and this is the attribute that she has. And so this book is just going to help me expand and elevate into that attribute that she has. You see? So powerful. Now, for me, I always have loved self-help or spiritual books, and there was a point when I was doing it from a place of lack, but now, no. Now I realized in my meditation, again, notice I'm constantly checking in, and the fact that I'm meditating every single day allows me to click in to another aspect of that future self. So I was realizing, what is she doing? What is she enjoying? And she was enjoying beautiful novels. Like, I literally envisioned myself just smiling and reading from novels. I really was not reading any novels, and I realized that I need to really push myself to get away from some of the spiritual stuff, or at least alternate between a spiritual book and a novel. Okay, so what I did is I started to search for authors that really resonated with me, that I loved their style of writing, and I loved the topics, and I loved where their stories took place. So I checked in with myself, and I realized, okay, I like romance novels. I like romance novels that are taking place in Europe, and particularly France, of course. And I love a writer that uses humor, that it's not just serious, like really unique characters. I have found an author, her name is Anna Huang. I'm not sure. If you know how to pronounce that, please tell me. But her books are so unique. They still got the romance, but they're so unique, and their characters are unique. I love them. So she is one of them. Another one is Colleen Hoover. And of course, as you know, I have featured some other books that I really love. Seven Letters from Paris, that is a favorite. And there's some others. And I'll put a list in the description box below, just if you're looking for a really great summer novel or just add some novels to your life, I'll give you some of my recommendations. And I have to say, I don't mind if they're a little bit raunchy as well. So if you like a little romance and you like a little raunchy and you like travel and unique characters and beautiful environments for those characters to be living out their story, then you'll like my suggestions. Now, another area that I consciously and intentionally elevated was the restaurants that I was dining at. It's not like my husband and I don't dine at nice places, and yet here was what was happening. My husband grew up in Turkey, so people in Turkey really value local produce, which, hey, it's perfect, right? That's beautiful. And yet they like it to a level that is too authentic for me. Let me explain. There's a lot of times that friends will come and say, oh, we've got the greatest place. It's like so authentic and you got to come. The food is really, really good. Just homemade, good cooking. When I hear those words, I know what they're talking about. It's like some place in the middle of nowhere where, yes, it's very natural. The chickens are roaming around and it's very raw landscape. There is no real attention to detail in terms of design or beauty. It's just real food, freshly prepared by often people with a lot of love and heart. So this is great. Everything about that feeling is beautiful, except this is when it comes to really knowing who you are and you honoring it. I was going to these types of restaurants, not all the time, but sometimes, okay? And it wasn't just here in Turkey. Sometimes there were places in Dubai that we would go and he would say, oh, I heard this place is so good, the food is so great. And yet you would go in there and it was just like a hole in the wall. My whole energetic being was like, no. Now, if I would express this to my husband, he would shoot me down really quick, almost kind of criticizing me for valuing that too much. Like, oh, you're so this, you're so that, you can't this, you can't even enjoy, you should be able to enjoy anywhere. And I checked in with myself and I said, is there something like here that I need to look at? When I looked inside, and actually when I went back to my elegant essence and the whole self-discovery process that you do in one of my programs called Self-Love, you just know who you naturally are. You know your programming, you know how you innately came into this world. There probably are not many people who were like me when I was a little girl, watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. The beauty of the buildings, the homes, the restaurants, the hotels that I was seeing was just like, I was just stopped. It wasn't because they were rich. It was because of what I was seeing and the emotional response that I was feeling from it, okay? So this is who I am. And when I dine somewhere, the aesthetics of the restaurant is as much a part of the experience for me as the food. Now, I have gone to some beautiful places before and the food has been horrendous. I'm not going to go back there just because it's a beautiful place. So I'm not that kind of a person. I needed to own who I was because my husband and I were getting into some little arguments and I was feeling bad about myself. I was starting to judge myself because he was judging me. And what you have to realize is that when you're triggered, that means there's something to clear up. Because now if my husband will say something, I'll just say, that's me. It doesn't faze me. It actually empowers me even more to be who I am. But I was not like that before. He used to get a big rise out of me when he used to do that because I was judging myself. This is the key for knowing thyself and actually owning, embodying, and really having reverence for who you are. Because nobody can tell you what kind of life you're supposed to live, what you're supposed to like, what success means to you, what a beautiful, elegant life means. That is for you and you alone to discover, embrace, and then just keep expanding. So I wanted to give you kind of an example from all areas of my life where I've really had to know myself and step into who I am and then start living who I am to whatever extent possible. Sorry, they're doing a call to prayer right now. Welcome to Turkey. The other thing I did was I started to see how I looked in that vision and then think of women who were sort of the epitome of that I knew of right at that present moment. So I was always really, really admiring Amal Clooney. And every time she showed up at her wedding, on the red carpet, her makeup looked so elegant. It didn't look overdone. She didn't look different than herself. She just looked really beautiful and elegant. So I searched who does Amal Clooney's makeup, and lo and behold, I found the name Charlotte Tilbury. I had never really heard her name, I don't think, or maybe I had, but I didn't put two and two together. I had never really researched it because I kind of just used the MAC products that I had always used, and what were some other brands? Just some basic brands that were in the department stores. So when I said I want to go up to that next level and I want to be that elegant version of myself, this was just back in like 2016 before we moved to Dubai. So I went onto the Charlotte Tilbury website and I fell in love with the fact that she had these different looks. If you wanted to try out a look for yourself, that you could book an appointment. So I booked an appointment. I took a girlfriend actually along with me, and we went into Covent Garden and we got our makeup done. And if you liked the makeup, then that £50 would go towards any of the products that were used on you. It was amazing. I loved that whole experience. I ended up buying everything. My friend, she could not stop saying, "Look at me, look how beautiful I am. I am beautiful." I mean, she was glowing and I felt beautiful too. I love her makeup. I love her brushes. If you ever go through the Elegant Art of Feminine Confidence program, I take you through how to do some very beautiful makeup looks, the no makeup look, the Parisian look, the professional look, the luxury look, the glam look. So there's really easy ways that you can actually start becoming your future self right now. One of the last things that I did was just recently, I had another huge aha moment. The other day, I had this epiphany while I was doing the meditation. Now, you all know that I do movement almost every single day in some different capacity. And if you were a part of the Glow Up series that I did, you know that I was getting into doing a lot of strength training, okay? We do need to do strength training. And yet, there's always these nuances that we have to find for ourselves. Something was bothering me. I am someone who has very strong legs. I was a speed short distance runner, and the type of legs that I have made me just be like a little road racer. So that's who I am, and that's how I was built. Now, the other thing is that when I start doing weights for my legs, they start building up really quickly, like way quicker than my arms. That takes a lot more for me. And I was starting to notice that my jeans and my shorts and my trousers were feeling tight. I didn't like the feeling. It just felt bulky. I was like, oh God, I'm liking the results in other ways, but not in that way. And this one morning when I was doing my meditation, I was like, okay, what is her morning like? What is she doing? What kind of movement she's doing? Oh, and every single morning, my future self is more times than not going to her fitness studio with a Pilates instructor coming, either doing it on the floor or on my reformer machine. And then I realized, excuse me, why, if that is what your future self doing, are you doing this over here? And you're not even liking the results that you're getting. This is what I'm telling you. We become so blind sometimes, we can't even see things. Like, why would I do anything else than what my person is doing in the future self that I want to manifest? Why would I do that? We don't know, do we? So you have to do these meditations consistently so that you can receive the different information at different periods when you're open to it. So I switched and listened to how the universe responded. I came across an instructor on YouTube that was a Pilates instructor in New York. She was a former dancer. She was near my age. She is even an inch shorter than me, and her issue was that her legs bulked up too fast. She always had a real self-conscious feeling about that, and so she went into doing more Pilates, eventually became this Pilates instructor, and now that's what she teaches. She's also teaching, especially for women in my time of life. You know, I'm 52 right now, perimenopause. So she's going through that too, and she's really found what works for her style of body, which is basically me. Okay, that came into my life. So I start doing it. The results were almost immediate. After 1 week of doing her movements, the body, the legs, the look, ta-da! And then, not only that, but my husband comes home and says, well, you're going to be happy. And I said, why? I just talked to one of the women who was part of the committee meeting of our little community here. And I guess a lot of women wanted to get a Pilates reformer machine for our gym. So that's probably going to be coming in the next few months. Okay. Do you see how manifestation works? This is the way it happens every single time. I kid you not, in every area of my life. This is why I created the Start Your Day with Elegance and Flow meditation. I do my meditation every single day. Everything that I create for you is because I've tried it and it works. And then I see if it works for other people, and it always does. You see, what I know are the laws of the universe, and they work every time. You are not an exception from the laws of the universe. So if you learn the laws and you learn the system and you start implementing, okay, this is the thing, ladies, don't watch my videos and just go, oh wow, that sounds great, and then don't do anything. The only reason I'm sitting here, and I'm going to take you over here, the only reason that this is my life right now and that it continues to expand and elevate is because I do what I teach. You never reach a stage and stop doing everything. If I stopped doing my movement, what would happen to my body, right? If I stopped doing my meditation, my inner peace would go away. I wouldn't be able to tap into my inner potential and my creation power. So my manifestations would stop or slow down. I mean, you have to do this stuff. And I'll tell you something else I do. Every single day, I check in with any beliefs or any thoughts that I have that are in dissonance with that vision of myself. If there are, you better believe that I am clearing them and I am reprogramming them. Okay? Where are you on the self-realization path? Do you even know what you want out of life? Like, what is your dream elegant life? Have you even tapped in and connected with the desires that are coded inside of you? Do you even know what your personal tastes are? Do you know what your codes are? That's a whole other topic. That's where you want to start, because you can't manifest anything if you do not know thyself. Okay? I would start there. If you are there and you've done a heck of a lot of that work and you're like, well, I'm doing that and it's still not happening, okay, you have to continue those things. And then maybe it's time for you to move up into the next area that might be uncomfortable for you. And that is the area of getting into the energy of receiving. That is the feminine energies. So if you want to start living a more flowing, elegant life, one where you allow yourself to receive without having to work so hard at every area of your life, then the next thing is the elegant art of feminine confidence. And if you've done that, then there is a mastery level. I mean, there are just stages to this path of self-realization. And I continue to elevate and elevate. And as I do, I leave all of the stages and steps and resources and tools that you need to go on your own journey and keep on elevating. I'll leave all of the resources that I mentioned and I talked about, the books, the stores, everything in the description box below. So ladies, make it a beautiful, elegant week.